Who is Patrick Williams and why did he go number 4 overall to the Chicago Bulls? Thank you for checking out today's video. Go subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up with our latest videos as they come out. So who is Patrick Williams? Why did he go number 4? Let's look into who he is, that pick, and how the Bulls can move forward now. So leading up to this pick, obviously on draft day, reports did come out that the Bulls like Williams, and those reports actually turned out to be true. They ended up picking the 6'8", 225-pound small forward with the 4th pick overall in the draft. Now, initially, I was honestly surprised. And again, I saw the reports on Twitter, but didn't really think the Bulls would go with this route. And in time, the more I think about it and the more, you have to kind of think about things, I think this really will work out and be a great move for the team. Some of the early criticism others had, and even myself, and concerns regarded the pick, and he didn't necessarily start for a college team that traditionally puts out pros, right? Or one of those traditional hoops powers. So obviously he didn't go to Duke, he didn't go to Kentucky, he didn't start. And secondly, other players such as, Deni Avdija, Obi Toppin, were there and could have also been a pick and choice as well. But I think ultimately Arturas got his guy. He actually ended up doubling down on this selection today. And I'm going to support the pick and him as well on this. And although Patrick Williams never started a game, he didn't go to Duke, Kentucky, or Louisville, or any of those, UCLA or any of those great colleges, he will be a good NBA player. He is a good person, he has good character, and he has tools and physical abilities that you cannot teach. So as a player, Patrick is extremely intriguing. When you see him on the court, the first thing that stands out are his physical tools. He has the size of 6'8", the foot speed and ability to move, and strength that you can't teach. And someone may ask, and it's fair, if he was so good, if he's so physical and dominant, then why didn't he start? And a lot of that has to do with the scheme and way that FSU and Leonard Hamilton runs his team. Patrick Williams was a huge contributor off the bench. He was actually 6th man of the year for the ACC, and he played for a team that played 10 guys deep. And Florida State actually put out other pros in this draft as well. So they'll be just fine. Again, they ran out more of a platoon, similar to what Kentucky did when they had their team that was 38-1. And again, Florida State has put pros in the NBA. They had 2 lottery picks this year. They had Jonathan Isaac, Malik Beasley, Dwayne Bacon. So some players that have been in the league that are good and will produce. And I think the same is going to be said for Patrick Williams here. So looking more at Patrick and what he does, thinking about his huge frame and speed, obviously he's got big hands, a 7-foot wingspan. So at the very worst, Bulls fans, take Chris Dunn, make him 4, 5, 6 inches taller, and literally from day one, if he doesn't get any better, the Bulls basically got a bulked up, bigger, faster Chris Dunn who can step in day one and defend. Now the exciting part about Patrick's game is the skill he's displayed along with that defensive ability and frame. He shoots the ball well for a bigger frame guy. He's got a good touch. He shot over 80% from the free throw line. And honestly, that's one of the bigger things for me when you look at a young 18, 19, 20-year-old. If a guy can consistently knock down free throws, obviously that shows you he can repeat his shot and he has good touch. From there, you can work on your game and become a better shooter. Like LeBron James did it. Jordan did it. Jimmy Butler, obviously a former Bulls player, wasn't a great shooter and is now a very, very good player in the league. And so many others as well. So he'll be just fine shooting-wise. He's got the frame, he's got the strength, he's got the touch. He just needs to shoot more and he'll be just fine. He is not a bad shooter already, so again, he'll only get better. Another thing that he does well offensively is really just based off that. He spreads the floor. He has good recognition, awareness. He can already knock down the corner 3 ball and has some range to do it all over the floor. And as mentioned, he is going to get better with time, but it is promising. And he also creates pretty well off the bounce. He can put the ball on the floor and move. With his size and strength, obviously he's no Ben Simmons out there, but he is able. And just being able as a rookie is a big thing. With his size, he's shifty. You can look at some videos of him working out before the draft, and he displayed everything that he could potentially do. And again, I'm really excited about his ability to put the ball on the floor. He's got the speed, straight line, and laterally. And I think he'll be able to contribute a little bit more than we think offensively. And at that point, that's just icing on top of the cake. So when you take that frame, the skill that he currently has, the defensive ability to step in and contribute from day one, plus for the Bulls, it fills a position of need long term, and he has all the potential and upside. I think when you look at it in hindsight, he definitely should have been that pick for them. And I'm not as sold as much on other players or think that other players were that much better than him, even if it doesn't work out. Apparently, Pat Williams became Arturas's guy and the new regime's guy, and you just have to trust that. Like, Arturas was a big part of what the Nuggets did, obviously drafting Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. They drafted Michael Porter Jr., a player Bulls fans and myself really wanted. So you have to trust them. You trust Williams' physical tools. You trust his character. And you trust that the Bulls will develop him and all the other players they currently have further. But at the very least, he's going to step in and contribute day one. He'll be able to get on the court and play right away, which I think will be a great thing. And I also think Billy Donovan will be encouraged to play him. So again, you're just going to have that development take place much faster as opposed to him sitting on the bench. So let's look ahead from a team perspective. Obviously, they drafted Pat Williams. What does that mean for the Bulls moving forward? And I think the first thing is obviously they sent a message that they believe in the talent and core on this roster. I think this pick was something more of a compliment to what they already have with Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, Kobe White, Wendell Carter. They didn't go pick a player that fits a position that these guys play. And obviously they didn't go big with the Obi Toppin route or Denny Avia. And they didn't go necessarily with the lead guard like they could have. So again, I think they really like Pat Williams. They knew this filled a position of need potentially. And I think if you're a current Bulls player, you're really pumped because it shows you that the front office, Arturas, and the new team really value who you are and what they think you can do in the future. And I think from a fan perspective, you have to feel good. This team has talent, and they definitely are better than their record showed last year, and they should not be picking in the top 4. I think just taking the team as it is without even drafting another player in the top 4 or 5, this team could maybe make the playoffs with Billy Donovan coaching them. And if you take what they already had, another year of development, especially with the new regime and planning and whatnot, and then you add on Pat Williams, I think it's a really good reason to be confident. And especially when you look at the dynamics of the conference. There's some question marks about Giannis. Obviously, the Bucks are really good. If he finds his way out of the division, you have to feel really good about the Bulls. The Cavs, the Pistons, they're struggling. The Pacers are kind of in the middle of I think they've really stagnated a little bit. So I think long term, if you're a Bulls fan, you're really excited. And offensively, the Bulls have firepower, right? Like they've got a great backcourt with Zach LaVine, Kobe White. They've got frontcourt guys who can score and are multifaceted, and Wendell Carter and Lauri Markkanen. And again, with Billy Donovan, he seems to really cater his game plans. He puts players in a position to succeed. So that'll definitely be an upgrade from Jim Boylen. And I think Pat Williams will definitely be able to help everyone because he doesn't necessarily take the ball out of LaVine or White or Lauri's hands, but he can also thrive and be on the court, knock down shots, space the floor, and probably step in and be their best defender day one. He's used to coming off the bench. He'll probably do that with Otto Porter still there, and Pat Williams will be able to contribute. But ultimately, if they move Otto during the season or obviously next year they don't bring him back, Pat Williams can step right in, start, and run the show. So I think this pick really shared insight into the new regime. Obviously, it was our first opportunity and Bulls fans' first opportunity to see how this group would operate in a draft and what they would use to pick potential players. And I think Patrick Williams definitely has a defined floor, but overall, it's more of a potential and upside pick. It's a pick based off what he could grow into, and that has not always been the case for a Bulls regime and what they've used in the decision-making in the past. They've always taken the more safe, guaranteed player who was probably 21, 22. And some of those hit, right? You've got Taj Gibson, Jimmy Butler, so you got to give credit there. But we could have drafted other players that had more potential and worked out. And obviously every team has regrets, but think about it. We could have had Michael Porter Jr., Tyler Herro, so many others. So I think I'm really excited about this pick because the regime seems to have gotten their guy. They're obviously building and drafting to build a pipeline of talent, similar to what they did in Denver, and they really understand how the NBA game is played today. And I think as a Chicagoan, I couldn't be more excited about this draft, their new coach, the new regime, and the upcoming season. I think the Bulls made the moves, obviously, in the offseason to go get one of the best leaders in the market to lead their basketball operations. They went out and got a proven coach in Billy Donovan, who's won games at the college level, pro level, develop young talent, and is great in relationships. And then obviously they went out and drafted a player who can contribute right away and also has a ton of potential on the top of that and what he can already do day one. So I think the proof and track record for Arturas was evident, obviously, in Denver. They built a deep, talented team with homegrown stars who are coming into their own from year 2 to year 4 in the NBA. And I think if that trend continues in Chicago, you've got Kobe White, Wendell Carter, Lowry, Pat Williams. We're not even thinking about Zach LaVine, who's already a really, really good player. This team is in good hands. And again, this draft was a great first opportunity for Bulls fans to see how their new leadership team would respond. And I think it was very telling. In a few years, we can look back and we'll see, and we'll all know whether Williams deserved to go 4 overall or not. But ultimately, whether he ends up being a star or not, I think we will respect the fact that Arturas and the decision makers that helped him took their guy. And in the past, when they've gotten their guy, it's worked out quite well. So thank you for checking out today's video. Go subscribe, and we will see you back soon.